Hello, everyone. It's Teresa again from the Lighting Industry Association, and we are joined today by Roy, who you'll be able to see on the screen. So welcome, Roy. We're going to go straight into it. Tell us a little bit about you and the RNIB.
Hi there. Yes, thank you for the invite for today and a chance to talk about the Royal National Institute for the Blind, RNIB. My name is Roy Imeson. I joined RNIB 3 years ago after a career basically in apprenticeships in construction, working for various organisations, and joined to look after and manage and progress a quality standard which is aimed at increasing the opportunities for blind and partially sighted people to go into employment. It's called Visibly Better Employer. And it's a program which was devised and funded through the postcode lottery. So the first thing I'm going to say, it's free.
Always good to hear.
Yeah. So the quality standard looks at 6 criteria. It looks at how an employer is attracted or how an employer attracts blind and partially sighted people, how it gets them through the onboarding process and then encourages them to become employed and then retain within employment. It also looks after those people like myself. I was age 42, went to the opticians. Optician said to me, "You've got a dot at the back of your eye and you're going to go blind." That sent me home in a turmoil, as it does for many other people that work in the construction sector. You kind of think, oh gosh, what do I do now? How do I carry on working? Where do I go? Well, let me start by saying that is such a shock to any human. It's a life-changing shock, but there's people out there that help and support. I reached out to the RNIB. I was working for a huge organisation at the time who didn't really know what to do or where to go with me. So reaching out for the RNIB at that moment helped me immensely. I stayed in employment for many years after that before joining the RNIB. So the Visibly Better Employer became quite passionate for me because I know what it feels like to be that person that is in employment and fighting for retaining their role or a role that's suitable to them, because I was no longer able to drive. It just seemed to be a bit of a downside at the moment, but technology may change that.
Yeah, who knows? Automatic cars, automatic driving, they are the future, apparently.
Yeah.
So for some of our members, this is very much a new topic. So can you just tell us a little bit about the scale of sight loss in the UK and a bit of a quick overview of why accessible environments matter so much?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll try and keep it slick because I can go off down an avenue because I do love my buildings. So first of all, let's talk about the statistics. There's 250 people a day start the journey with sight loss. That's the people like me that went to the opticians or born into the situation or have an accident at work, because let's face it, that also happens. So that's 250 people a day. Now, this statistic always resonates with me because I always look at the back seat of a bus. So if you imagine the back seat on a bus, 2 of those people are going to be, if there was 8 people sat there, 2 of those people are going to be in work and the other 6 are going to be unemployed. So just think of that statistics. 1 in 4 blind and partially sighted people gain employment or retain employment. So that statistic sticks with which we have to change.
Yeah.
And then how do we change it? Where do we go? How do we do that? That's through something that is through trends now is changing to adjustments. So adjustments within life, within the workplace, you commute. And as you probably recognize in my room, a lot of light, which is ironic, really. I'm talking to you guys that support my life through change. Without on-off lights of many different disguises, I wouldn't be able to see. The rods at the back of my eyes you have rods that one are daylight, one are dark. And my dark rods are all disappearing, which means I need more light for me to be able to visualize, to see stuff and get around. So that's from street lighting to the walking into a reception, walking into an office block, or sitting at my desk. They all have to be variable. And as you all know more than me, there's plenty of opportunities for different types of lighting.
And I think that's a really important point, because it's really easy, even in the lighting sector where we have light at the forefront of everything that we do, it's really easy to forget how it impacts partially sighted and blind people, because we just assume, well, we assume that it doesn't really matter. And of course, it absolutely does. Now, I know that you're here to speak about a specific initiative, so I want to give you as much time as possible. So, can you just give our viewers a very quick overview of your employment initiative and what it's trying to achieve?
Yeah, very briefly. So there are 80 organisations across the UK that we've helped support at the moment that have got the quality standard. So that's a plaque on their wall, but they work with us afterwards. Of those 80, 30% of them are SMEs. They're the people that have the highest impact as well, because they're able to actually understand each human that works with them and support them, but they may not know how to do such things as an adjustment, or what is meant by assistive technology, or how we support that. So what the initiative was set up to do was just ask the basics of questions, bring everybody on board to help. And when we say everybody, we don't mean the 3 million organisations that are in the UK. We mean the organisations that are looking to actively increase inclusivity within their workplace. Some of the manufacturing organisations have what is classed as an aging workforce, which for me of my age now is my age. We're great at employment, but however, our bodies start to change. So within the manufacturing sector, that's where we find that we get the most interest on how we support them. So it's about the attraction for those that are new to the workforce, going back to that back seat on the bus and only 2 people at the back seat have got a job. What we're hoping for is that you will reach out to us and ask us, how do we do that? So bear in mind, the first statement I said that this is free. So we'll do a career page. If you have a career page, not every organisation has one or needs one. However, if you have a career page, we'll audit that for free and tell you where the changes are. 9 times out of 10, a change is as simple as changing the font size to size 14, or having a different transition of color behind, which again, you guys understand a great deal about what color can mean to when we look at websites, when we look in the office block. We then look at your policies and procedures and help you amend them so that they are inclusive. And when we say inclusive to blind and partially sighted people, what that actually happens is that opens up a whole spectrum of people that you're already employing, people that will have protected characteristic, and how do they read, how do they understand, and then we look at how do you train your hiring managers or your CEO. It doesn't have to be a large organization to have your senior manager is the CEO. However, we'll help look at some training program, again a free opportunity for an online training course, or we'll visit you. We then trundle on through the assessment process to how have you attracted them and retained them, and have you done a reasonable adjustment? Was there a need to do an adjustment? And then how do you retain? 6 questions. I'm going to say MVQ answers, because I think most of us nowadays relate to them. I'm not after War and Peace and your SSIP accredited format. MVQ answers with links, and if you haven't got them, we'll help you get them. It's about helping you get there. We don't end there. Once a quarter, we ask how things are going, how are things progressing. And I work with 3 amazing people that work in an employment team, and they help promote you as an organisation to the 11,000 people that are registered blind and partially sighted seeking work. So there's a great audience of people looking for employers, which when you put the quality standard onto your website, they're automatically attracted. And if you're a goods and service, it's also a customer. And what we did find with one organisation, which I found absolutely amazing, is that they had on there, you had your web page where you register with us. They couldn't understand why they hadn't got a high number of people with protected characteristic as customers, simply because their format on their page didn't work. A screen reader, which is a tool that most blind and partially sighted people use. It's a free tool now on Microsoft products and Google, but it couldn't read. So they couldn't answer, so they couldn't become a customer. So a simple search on our side increased customers as well as the number of blind and partially sighted people that are employed. It's a 3-year standard. So at the end of the 3 years, we then review everything, and this is year 4. So we're a bit squeaky bummy because is everyone going to sign up and join us again, and has it worked? So we're proving the work we've done, and up to now, I'm quite positive that we're getting there. We could be a lot further down the line, but sometimes we just have to step back and just realize that change will take time. And I think I want you to hear that, because I'm not saying that you're going to sign up for this and tomorrow morning you're going to have 3 blind people sat like nice in your office. It won't take that. It won't be that. It's a stage program. So we want you to encourage you to think, okay, this will happen, but we're going to work with experts. We're going to work with people that are happy to do as well.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a bit of a 2-part question, because I know that those listening will be like, that's great, but actually, what does it mean in practice?
Yeah.
So first off, what kind of strengths and qualities do blind and partially sighted people bring into organisations? And on the back of that, what might be an organisation's expectation for reasonable adjustments? Because they will assume that they will need to completely change absolutely everything in their business to accommodate. So a bit of a 2-part there, Roy.
It is. And again, great big questions, because hopefully you've all thought of that on the initial of listening to the start of the interview. So blind and partially sighted people generally have adaptability. We have to adapt everything we do, from walking around to open a cupboard in a kitchen, because we don't see the dangers that they can bring, but we come up with the solutions that are there. And I think if you're putting a team together, especially in a sector where there's over 2 million people that are blind or partially sighted, that's registered. There's a lot more that aren't registered. Your core product is lighting. So why not have somebody that's already got different eyes for visualizing in your team to say, well, that doesn't work, or that works, filters and stuff along that line. So we'll bring skill sets that you won't have or won't be able to understand because you've been fortunate to keep your eyesight. That would be my selling point if someone was to say, but most blind and partially sighted people, like myself, have had a career. We've got the skills to get into the workplace. We've got the adaptability, and we've applied for jobs. We know what the use of software is. Now, the adjustments that are in place, the one I love to talk about is the most cheapest product out there. So we get white canes to swing along on the floor so that we don't bump into stuff. I wouldn't say it's a given rule, because like everybody, we are also a bit clumsy. That's a byproduct as well. So the white stick will work as we swing it around. But how many of you have been into a gym recently and you've looked at the wash floor that they've got, which is those rubber floors with the bin pools on them, like this anti-slip?
Yeah.
That's cheaper than fire retarded carpet. And so if you were to place that on your gangway walking through your office, the person with the white stick would be able to get past the reception desk. They would be able to walk along either to their bathrooms or to their workstations with ease. And that's cost you less than the carpet that you're going to fit within the room. Obviously, lighting is a good one, but that's your products. And then the other part is assisted technology. Now, if I was to rewind this back to 1999, assisted technology didn't exist, and everyone started inventing this stuff, and it was coming out at £3,000 a license. Now, with Microsoft and Google, it's part of your products. Did you know? And if those of you that don't always read your emails before sending, there's a read aloud button. Now, that read aloud button is free, but it does the same job for a sighted person as a person with protected characteristics. So that's what I would say. It doesn't cost a great deal. We have a great flagship, which Teresa knows I'm going to mention wherever I go, and that's our head office in London. It's called the Grimaldi Building. Have a geek at Grimaldi. If nothing else, it will give a smile on your face if you reflect back to what I just said about blind people sometimes are a little bit clumsy. An amazing building. It won a standard. It's just fabulous. But yeah, go and have a look at that as well, and that'll help you understand that it doesn't have to be a great big adventure and a great big cost to you as an organisation.
So we briefly mentioned it, Roy, that obviously lighting, industry sector, We are very heavily in design and manufacturing. So I'm just going to pick up on that a little bit.
Good.
In terms of manufacturing, stuff like technical services, sales, and we've kind of mentioned the office-based roles, but especially field sales, what are you seeing in terms of successful examples where blind or partially sighted people are already in employment and working in those types of roles or adjacent support roles, and where it's working really, really well?
Yeah, that is. So bear in mind, I'm at year 4, so I've got some data behind that now,
Mhm.
which is just quite sexy in a way for someone that's a bit of a data geek. So yeah, we're going back to this 30% of the organizations are SMEs. You can really dig into who is who's got a job or who's retained a job. And it's hard for me to say, oh, that sector has one. But if you look at the different sectors we've got from manufacturing, retail, we've got healthcare sector is quite high. And we have obviously within departments who have sales. And all of those organizations or sectors have employed people that are blind and partially sighted. To put a reality on that, we're not talking tens of thousands. We're not even talking 1,000. We're talking just over 600 people at the moment that this project has been able to track and manage where they've gone. So we have, with confidence, a very limited pool of jobs that people haven't been able to get rather than a big pool of jobs that people have got. Majority are in admin-based sales type roles or admin-based data. We do look, we all love a bit of data these days because it's for free and everywhere. And it does help us demonstrate what success looks like. So one of the questions I ask an organization and ask yourselves this, what would success look like for you having visibly better employer? Would it be in having, right, we've recruited somebody and there's Frederica sat in the corner managing the sales team? Or would it be that we've actually offered to interview 10 people that didn't know about our sector before? And of those 10 people now, they're keen to find the next job. And I think it's about, for me, that's what I like about this project. We don't really understand what the success overall will be. We wish it to be that. We offer a great deal of services. RNIB employs over 1,000 people scattered around the Isles, and we do a variety of different things. So we even within RNIB, we've got just shy of 280 people that are registered blind or partially sighted, doing a variety of roles. So just open up your mind there. What jobs can't they do is very limited. We're not allowed to drive forklift trucks. But when I could see, I couldn't drive one anyway. So some skills were never there anyway. So it's find a human that's fit for that job that will do the best for you as an organization.
So that's really great to hear, Roy. So last couple of questions, I think. How can LIA members actively engage with the initiative and actually start opening up some opportunities in their own business?
Okay, that's a question I've asked myself many times since we first met last year. And I don't want to say, oh, click here and register and let's go ahead with this. What I want you to do is have a pause about today's what you've watched. Contact me on the emails that should be attached to this link here, and let's arrange a 30-minute chat. Let's go through a discovery chat to see what you want from this, what I want from this as well, because it is two-sided, and how we can work together. And what I like about being able to be informal in that approach is it takes away that dexterity of panic. Am I going to be signing up to something that I don't want or wish to manage, or my organization can't get there? And let's start that discovery call as soon as we can, but have a think about it. The roles that you could be opening up, have a think about what's coming through projection in the next 6 months or a year's time. What jobs have you got that are coming up that you would be best suited to place someone? Even though I've said there's 11,000 people looking, it's about getting them to understand about you as an organization. So we may have to do some for free webinars or some research or some promotion of your organization. I mean, having the RNIB behind you helping there gives you that climate of all those organizations that already see us as a registered charity, one of the few remaining royal charities as well. So have a think about that again, because it won't take long for us to place them on once the right human comes forward. But there is an element of how do we do that? Is the role going to be hybrid, or do we need somebody that lives local? And again, we can then help you target that.
Yeah. So finally, what would success look like from your perspective over the next few years if more organisations across the lighting sector became involved?
Well, you've answered the own question there in a way. It's that in a nutshell. I'm not looking for many organisations. I just would like to work with 2 or 3 so that we can understand a little bit more about how we can support each other's desires and aims and your mission. Inclusive recruitment is that in a nutshell. It's about how do I recruit as many people from many different organizations and many different backgrounds as possible as we can get there. So if there's 2 or 3 of you that wish to get together and have a chat, we can collectively work on a solution. And again, 30% of the registered organizations are SMEs. So please don't think that that's a barrier. The only barrier usually is about making us all aware of what visibly better employer means.
Well, Roy, thank you so much for your time, and thank you again and again. I think this has been a really interesting podcast. And LIA members, if you're interested, Roy's details will be flashed on the screen again round about now. And if there is anything that you want to speak to any of the LIA team members about, please let me know as well. But Roy, honestly, absolutely amazing. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.